The question is, what's our tech stack tooling look like and best practices as it relates to building out automation, right? I will say, I would not say Second Nature is probably the best at this. I don't think this is probably one of our highest and best strengths. We use HubSpot as our marketing automation platform. We use Chili Piper as a lead routing and scheduling tool. And one thing I will say that has been important for us, especially as we have people who are working the events and have interaction opportunities, because our sales force is divided by territory. And so, if Christian on our team who covers Florida is talking to somebody in Nevada, right? He may or may not know who that is and whose calendar, and right. And so what we built was, coming into an event, the attendee list and our database, we've worked hard to develop that so that there's as little friction as possible for somebody to be able to get a meeting booked. So all he has to do is put the email in, and that's it. Unique identifier, everything else fills in to pull up AE calendar and book a meeting. And we did find removing all of that friction helped us a lot, right? With increasing, our booked meetings. Yeah, I'd say that's one thing I think we've done well. But in general, actually, I think there's probably other companies that do it better than we do.
Yeah. Andrew, so Gianno's like, I have all these events going on, but they won't buy you the software to track, right? So let's do the opposite. If you didn't have software to track, coming from a C-suite, how would you approach this whole how could somebody manage up to pull out objectives from someone in a way to then do it software-less to then get to the software?
Yeah, I think a lot of companies make this mistake where you'll spend hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, and you won't spend $50,000 or whatever it is, right? That you need to put in place to properly track success. I just think it's insane. And I think it just takes sitting down and having a conversation about where our investments are, right? If we're spending all of this, are we not going to spend this percentage of our budget to properly monitor and track this? And
what is the right percentage?
Again, you'll have to convince, I'm sure different people have different opinions on that. But yeah, from my perspective, I think if you're having trouble getting people to go all the way, then you need to align on a crawl, walk, run approach of saying, okay, well, how can we come to, I'm not saying you need to put your foot down and say, I'm quitting if we don't implement this specific tool. If you have that conviction, I guess you could, but probably the way I would go about that and the way we started was, it was more manual tracking. It was less automated. And okay, there's a place to start, and here's a limited set of metrics that we were tracking, and you need enough of that for the business to be able to say we can make high conviction bets about what is working and what is not working, and where we are going to double down and where we are going to reallocate, right? How can we effectively make those decisions as a company in a way where it's not slowing down? And then, okay, that's the crawl, here's the walk, right? And when we get to this point, here's how we're going to evolve, right? Our measurement and the tooling that we're going to use to do it, to be able to make quality decisions that scale as we do.
The manual piece is difficult,
Yeah.
but you kind of have to do it. I think there's a lot, we were talking about earlier with leadership where they're not going to believe it till they see it, unfortunately, and they're not going to invest in it. So you may have to pull it from other areas. You may have to do it on your own, but essentially, I think really good data tells the story that you don't have if you don't have it. So it's tough. There's going to be leadership that just believes in it. There's going to be leadership that's like, yes, absolutely, let's move that direction. There's going to be leadership that's like, well, put a business case together for me. And then there's going to be leadership that just wants nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it is a very difficult stance to take because they will continue to spend, which is crazy, but they will continue to spend until things are not good, and then they'll pull back, and it really doesn't make it. It's just this subjective game, right? It's like, well, things are good, we'll blow a bunch of money at a show. Things are not good, we're going to pull back money at a show. So I think event marketers are in a very difficult spot when you're looking for tools, when you're looking for ways of measuring, and you're looking for ways to be able to create a business case to say, hey, we're spending X. X is giving us this, and we are pushing objectives. We are moving in the right direction. But unfortunately, it's a very difficult sell, and I think it's one of the biggest hurdles and humps that's going on in events. Events have gotten away with being what they are because they do work. They work because we're face to face. They work because we can have a conversation. They work because we can sit and have a beer together and talk or get a coffee in the morning. Like, humans want to interact. So events have just made it. They've just survived. I don't want to say on pure luck, but they've survived because they're good, because they work. So now it's a matter of, how do you get to measuring it? How do you get to quantifying it? I explained this to you earlier. We're having a beer, we were talking. I was saying how, like, in an event, there's so much that goes on. I mean, there's so much that happens. You talk to customers, you talk to new prospects, you close deals. Current deals that are in the pipeline get accelerated. You create new partnerships. You get customers that are not customers anymore, that used to be, that are cold, that all of a sudden start spending. There's this laundry list of stuff that can happen at events. The hurdle is now to start quantifying it. The hurdle is now to start saying, putting a story together to say, this does make sense to be here. This is what this show, this event, this is what it does for us. And this is how it contributes to what you said earlier, which is the goals of the company, which is overall direction.